Welcome back everybody to Amateur Not Pro, where I document the improvement in my drawing skills. Today I'll be using Sharpies to draw Goku throwing a spirit bomb. I bought 3 packs of Sharpies, different colors, different sizes, costing about $30. I'm going to be using these to draw a vivid picture of Goku. I'll also be using number 2 pencils and my trusty board. Let's get started. So the first thing I did is I always like to start off with the outline of whatever I'm drawing. Today it'll be Goku, so I'm drawing the outline. I'm drawing the arms, trying to get the proportion, the chest, the nose, the eyes, basically everything that I can on the outside so I know how to fit everything on the inside. Of course, probably the hardest part was some of the facial features and the hair, but once I got that down, everything else became perfect. I drew the pants, I drew some of the rips and tears, some of the bruises, and I made sure that one arm was twice as big as the other arm. I made sure that certain parts of his body were a little bit bigger, just to make him seem like he was a little bit closer and to an angle. Let's get started with the actual outline. I used the black Sharpie to basically just draw everything in. I know it was a little bit hard to see the actual drawing because of my lighting, so I wanted to hurry up and rush through the video and get to the actual using of a black Sharpie to highlight everything. As you can see, I hope you like the actual face and the chest. I wasn't too sure if I got the proportions right, but it started to look decent, especially on video. I used the black Sharpie to get the hair. I messed up a little bit just on a small, basically I double Sharpied part of his hair by accident, but of course this is called Amateur Not Pro. I'm basically just trying to get better at my skills, trying to get better at drawing this freehand and things of that nature without really erasing, and just trying to make it look the best I can. Once I got done shading one arm, I got to the other one, outlining that. I messed up a little bit on the fingers. I made them a little bit too weird looking, but I'm hoping once I color it in, it'll look a lot better. I went back and just highlighted the parts that I'm going to be shading with the black Sharpie. I'm going to basically leave part of that white and just color in the rest of the hair. I drew in more of the bruises and some of the tears in the pants, especially some of the lining that was coming out. The part that he uses to tie his pants up so that they don't fall, that looks a little raggedy and teared. It's supposed to. This is one of the scenes from Kid Buu versus Goku. Once I got done with all the outlines, I started filling in the colors. The first color I'm going to use is the black Sharpie, and I'm going to start by filling in the hair, which is probably the most iconic part of Goku is the hair, so I want to make sure that I get this perfect. I only provided a little bit of white highlight, or I left part of it not Sharpied with the black because I wanted the spirit bomb is going to be above him, so I wanted a little light to be cast on his actual hair. The rest, I made sure that it was all black. I even went twice in it just to put more ink on it. I left a little bit of white highlights on his actual hair that falls over his eyes because I wanted it to seem like the spirit bomb was more on top of him than really in front of his face, like it's supposed to be. So the next thing I did is I moved on to parts of the eye, to parts of the eyebrow, and different parts of the face, especially the chin, because the spirit bomb is above him, so there should be a shadow right below his chin going down to the neckline. The next thing I did is I highlighted the actual nose shadow with the brown Sharpie. If you know anything about the show and some of the pictures, brown works great on facial features and body features when it comes to Dragon Ball Z and basically adding that shadow with brown. The next thing I did is I drew in parts of basically the shadows on the shirt, the parts I'm going to be filling in with black Sharpie. At this point, as you can see, I have about 4 different black Sharpies. That's because for some reason my Sharpies were running out a little bit quicker than usual. It's probably because I was putting a lot of ink on the paper. I was going over it twice, or ink on the poster board. I was going over it twice. But at this point, I'm just highlighting everything, making sure that there's a lot of black ink so that it pops out when I finally take the picture at the end. And just so that you can see how vibrant this black is and some of the other colors will be, especially with the shadows. That's basically what brings dimension to the drawing. So I try to do the best I can with putting as much shadowing and as much in the right direction of the shadowing. The next thing I did was I used the black Sharpie on the pants and some of the rips and some of the tie that he uses to put his pants up. I used black Sharpie all throughout this drawing. I'm going to be using it on the pants, just on some of the folds. Most of the pants will just be orange and red, but I wanted to make sure that there was black because some of the parts are not in direct basically in the direct path of the spirit bomb, so there shouldn't be any light on these parts, especially on some of the ribs. There shouldn't be any light underneath these ribs because his body's blocking it. The actual fabric from his clothes is blocking it. The next thing I did, and I'm going to do now, is I'm going to grab the blue Sharpie and start highlighting the actual blue parts of his shirt. At the moment, I'm basically working with the outline, making sure that I can have as much freedom in terms of coloring everything in without messing anything up. So I start on the outside and work my way inside. Right now, I'm really impressed with the way this color looks on the poster board. It's probably one of my favorite Sharpies. I guess it's royal blue. I guess it's just standard blue according to Sharpie, but I really love the way it looks, especially the way it looks with the black shadowing. Black and blue are always great colors when it comes to drawing Goku's shirt because it just provides the perfect shadowing effect. The next thing I did is use the blue on the part that holds up his pants just to fill everything in so that I use as much of the blue right now so that I don't have to go back to it. The next thing I did was I grabbed the orange Sharpie and started highlighting the pants, leaving a little bit of space for the red highlighting. I did this mainly because the last time I drew something with Sharpie or any permanent marker and I just drew one solid color on the whole pants or on the whole whatever character I was drawing, I didn't like the way it turned out when I went back and shadowed it with black on top or red on top. I didn't really like it, and I used a lot of ink, so my Sharpies run out a lot quicker. So this time around, I left space. That way I just have to fill in the rest with red Sharpie instead of putting it on top of the orange marks. At the moment, I'm just filling everything in. I really like this color for his pants. It's probably the standard color for Goku's pants. In every drawing of him, you'll probably see orange, blue, and black are the main colors that you normally see him wearing. I use the red Sharpie to basically make sure that everything is highlighted where it's supposed to be. You can't really tell the red Sharpie is blending in a little bit with the orange. Maybe next time I'll go over it double or maybe use a darker or brighter red. But overall, I'm kind of proud of the way the pants and the shirt turned out, especially the shirt. The blue just pops out from the poster board. I love it. After all that, I went back a little bit with the black Sharpie and I started using the peach Sharpie. I've never used the peach Sharpie before. I don't like to really put skin color on a lot of my drawings because I'm just not that great at it. But I love the way the peach Sharpie is turning out. I decided to add a little bit of highlights with the brown and basically just work with what I had because I didn't want to use too much of the peach Sharpie. I'm not sure what it would look like if the whole thing was just peach and then brown highlights. So I wanted to use more of a white, leave that white from the poster board. The peach Sharpie started running out. I'm not sure why, or maybe that's just the way it looks. But it was a good fit for the picture, so I keep doing it with the arms, the hand. I did it with the bigger arm. Just try to get as much of that peach down before it runs out. I also started adding a little bit of brown just to make sure there's a little bit of a highlight on his arms. I'm going to be using a little bit more with the right arm, but overall the peach is pretty much working with this drawing. I wish I had more Sharpies in different varieties of peach. A lighter peach, darker peach would have worked perfectly for his body. But for my first time using peach, I'm really proud of the way it turned out. I'm really proud of the way it works with the blue and the orange. I filled in some of the other parts of his clothing. Overall, the peach is working great, and it's bringing a lot of depth into Goku's arms and facial features. So I really like the way it turned out, especially since this was the first time I've ever used this. I'm going to be using it a lot more in future videos. So I'm very proud of the way it's going right now. Next, I use a light green for the actual spirit bomb just to get a little bit of the highlight of the background. If you remember this from some of the pictures, it kind of looks, the sky kind of looks light greenish to maybe blue. Next, I use the same royal blue that I used for a shirt to just accentuate the spirit bomb a little bit better. I always like the color for the spirit bomb to be really, really bright. And this is the brightest color I had at the moment. Next, I shaded a little bit just to make it seem like energy was going into Goku's spirit bomb. I'm not too sure if I like the way it turned out and some of the way I used the blue, but overall the picture started to look really vibrant, so I enjoyed it a lot. The next thing I did was I used a regular green Sharpie and just highlighted what should look like a ground. Next time I'll probably look more at the picture and really make sure that I see the background a little bit better. But I like the way it's looking at the moment. I highlighted everything I could with the green and the light green. Let me know what you think of the picture. Overall, I give this a 7 out of 10. I can do better, and I'm trying to learn how I can do better later on. So thank you guys for watching.